Hi, I'd like to discuss today what I think is the ultimate travel bass guitar. Now, I want to clarify when I say that it's the ultimate travel bass guitar, I don't mean that it is a fantastic bass guitar. I enjoy playing it. It is a reasonably good bass guitar, but it seems to me that most travel guitar type of instruments are designed by people that either travel or play a musical instrument. For example, the travel guitars I have encountered are either like three-quarter size or parlor size guitars, or there is one particular guitar, I think it's called the Traveler, that is teeny weeny and can fit in a suitcase, very light. But other than that particular instrument, most of the travel guitars and travel bass guitars that I've encountered are scaled down versions of the real thing. And I think they're designed by, I don't know, musicians or people that don't travel. But in this case, I want to talk about the Ibanez EHB1500, which I think seems to me has been designed by someone that travels but that doesn't play the bass. So while it may be the ultimate travel bass guitar, there are certainly some areas of improvement. So let me get down to it. First, let me show you the guitar. Now, I've had this guitar, I guess, about less than a year. I do play it basically daily, and it's a very pretty guitar, pleasant to look at. It's a headless guitar, and that's kind of key to making it a travel bass guitar. But if you look, the finish has already been worn off here, and some other places as well. And it's like, this is going to be an area that gets touched and hit and scratched and scraped a lot. That really should last more than just a few months. That started coming off, I think, within weeks of me getting the guitar. The other thing that first thing that I noticed that I consider a shortcoming is that it originally had this little red plastic tab there. The idea of that was to keep your cable from falling out inadvertently. Now, that was a brilliant idea. It seemed to work pretty well. In my case, it worked too well, and I had a real difficult time unplugging the cable. And finally, the only solution for me was to take apart this thing and pull out the plastic gizmo entirely. But if you think about it, if you are playing bass, let's just say you're giving a public performance, concert of some sort, would you rather, and let's say you walked further than your cable would allow you to walk, would you rather the cable came unplugged, or would you rather it pull over the entire bass guitar cabinet or whatever kind of amplification system you have? I think most people would acknowledge they would rather have the cable come unplugged. Plus, most guitarists that I know wrap the cable around where the guitar strap goes and just plug it in, and it's really unnecessary to have that. So I don't know if the current models of this come with that tab, but it's unnecessary, and in my opinion, it really is a hindrance, a real negative. Also, one thing I've noticed, and it seems like it's popular nowadays among a lot of bass guitars, is they have these inlays that are, I guess it's aesthetically pleasing to look at. You have like a dark fingerboard, and then you have like these light or dark gray inlays. Well, for me, I am not a seasoned professional bass guitarist. I'm an amateur. I need all the help I can get. I want to see the dots, and I know if I practiced 14 hours a day for a mere 20 years, I would probably be able to memorize exactly where my fingers are on the fretboard at all times, but I'm not at that place, and I would really like there to be some bright white dots along here. After I make this video, I plan to get some white out and make some dots along here. Now, what I have done already is made taking the white out, I've made the side dots white so I can actually see them. So I consider that kind of I'm sure it's intentional, and it might look very nice, but it's not particularly functional in my opinion. Now, this headless bass, it's interesting. It's got a nice tuning mechanism here, which I think is really really nice. You know, it seems to me that it's maybe slightly easier to fine tune than the large keys that are on my other bass guitars. But anyway, getting down to why this is the ultimate travel bass guitar. It is a removable, the neck is removable, and it's got these 5 screws here in the back, and you undo those. Well, first you have to loosen the strings, you undo those, and now you have a guitar that is in 2 separate pieces. And it turns out in a full-size suitcase, has a diagonal length, I think, of around 31 inches. Well, this entire neck from here, where it comes out apart to here, is like 29 and 29 and a half inches. And remarkably enough, it fits diagonally in a suitcase. So with putting this like in the middle of the suitcase with some padding between the guitar body and the neck, you have a 2-piece guitar that you can put together, you know, when you get to where you want to go. And meanwhile, you don't have to have a whole separate piece of luggage. Now, a lot of airlines will say, yeah, you can take a guitar in the airline, but generally they either consider it another piece of luggage. I think they at least do that. And sometimes they will charge you extra because it's a guitar. A few years ago, I went to Europe, and just to take my regular guitar with me both ways was going to cost me $300, which I thought was a little unreasonable for 1 or 2 weeks of being able to practice in my room. So the nice thing about this is when you take it apart, you can put it in your suitcase. It doesn't have to be counted as an entirely separate piece of luggage. I think the entire weight of this thing is like 8 or 12 pounds. It's actually fairly light. So there's lots of room for stuff like underwear and socks, an extra pair of shoes, and things that you might really want when you travel. To give all that up just to have a whole separate instrument, whether it costs money or not, it doesn't seem reasonable. So this is great to be able to actually pack this in your suitcase. The EHB1500 has a less expensive model with, best I can tell, the exact same design except different coloring and perhaps different wood and hardware. That also, I would presume, takes apart to the same dimensions and is usable. I am not aware of any other bass guitar that you can do this with. Now, if any of you that are watching this happen to know someone that manufactures carbon fiber guitars, those are the people, maybe Emerald Guitars or Close or someone. It would be really great to have a carbon fiber neck and body so you could travel with this guitar virtually anywhere. It'd be a lot more resistant to any kind of damage, but especially if you take a guitar, I've learned the hard way, if you take a guitar into a very humid environment, for example, anywhere around the equator, the wood tends to warp, a combination primarily of the humidity, but also of the heat. And to have a carbon fiber instrument that you could completely take apart like this would be just great. Yes, it'll probably cost you a little more money. Plus, now if you think about it, if you have an instrument where you're planning to take it apart a lot more than rarely, it would be nice that instead of having screws back here, you had some sort of a bolt, or even some bolts instead of screws, or even some sort of a mechanism where you could not require a screwdriver to take the thing apart. That would be kind of neat to have some sort of a clip that you could press and then just slip the neck apart. That would be great. So if you happen to know anybody that designs guitars or that works for a carbon fiber guitar manufacturer, please pass on word to them. And I think having an instrument with this basic design that was made of carbon fiber would really be ideal. Meanwhile, as far as I know, this is the only travel bass that you actually can travel with. Thanks for watching.